Ang the calendar, invite with no sender. The invite landed on a Sunday night, when the city gets quiet enough to hear what it's been hiding. No subject, no sender, just a thin blue block dropped onto Tuesday at 11:45 a.m., a location pinned as Blue Room. The pop-up nudged my phone like a drunk friend. You're expected. I stared at it in our kitchen while the pasta water pretended to be weather. Lena was watching the pot with the attention she saves for renderings and lies. She's an urban designer, wins competitions by making sidewalks feel inevitable, loses sleep when donors call parks, placemaking, like it's a magic trick. I do crisis work for companies and agencies that have paid too much for their secrets to be clumsy. When trouble walks into a room with a name tag, I ask it to spell. "Who's inviting you on a Sunday?" she asked, not looking. "No one," I said, showing her the screen. "That's the point." Blue Room, no sender, attendees hidden. A link to an Ike's file where a name should have been. She glanced once, and the corner of her mouth did the thing that has saved me from at least 3 bad decisions. "And you want to go," she said. "I want to know," I said. She turned the flame down, stepped between me and the counter, and hooked a finger in my belt like we were already in a room with fewer witnesses. "Say the stupid word," she said. "Honeysuckle," I said, hatting it correctly. "That's why it works," she said, and kissed me like punctuation. We treat our password like a safety harness, ugly on purpose so we never confuse thrill for stability. It lets us say the thing that might rewrite the week. I could say, "I'm going to meet a ghost in a room with no calendar trail." She could say, "Take me with you or bring everything back." Tuesday, 11:42, I was in the hotel with the revolving door that believes it's a camera. The concierge didn't look up when I asked for the Blue Room. He pointed toward a corridor with carpet that forgives and doors that have learned discretion. The Blue Room was not blue. It was a small boardroom wearing beige like a disguise. There was a pitcher of water sweating efficiently and a pad of paper that asked me to confess in bullet points. 2 women were already there. Kyra I recognized from the papers, the private equity face on the Riverbend Consortium, a redevelopment bid that's been trying to turn freight yards into condos with murals. Sierra I recognized from a life I keep in a drawer. We'd lived together when ambition was our third roommate and the rent was always due. She had a silver ring on her index finger and the same mouth I once decided to trust over my own good sense. "You got the invite," Kyra said as if she'd sent it. "What is this?" I asked. "A courtesy," Sierra said, and smiled the way you smile at a person you're hoping will step closer and won't. Kyra slid a folder across the table, thick as a confession. "We're meeting individually with stakeholders," she said, quotation marks audible. "Off-cycle, off-calendar. Everyone gets the same deck. Everyone gets 5 minutes to ask the question they're actually going to ask at the hearing and pretend it's brave." "And me," I said. "You're the locksmith," she said. "I can hear your boss typing statements from here." I opened the folder. The deck was a hymn: Wellness Courtyards, LEED Platinum, affordable units indexed to a fantasy median income. The slide with the financing had that figure-windowed honesty I hate: escrow tranches, tax increments, philanthropic anchor, contributions in gray text with a footnote that might as well read, "God willing and lawyers agree." The last slide mentioned a cultural Blue Room program, a set of on-site curated studios subsidized for artists whose work aligns with Riverbend values. I wondered what alignment paid in this market. "I'm not here to make a deal," I said. "Then make a demand," Kyra said. "It'll end up in a press release under someone else's name, but you'll get to keep your conscience from filing a grievance." Sierra watched me, blinking slow. She wore her hair like an argument I might want to lose. She hadn't texted me in 2 years. She hadn't needed to. Your calendar invite had no sender, I said. It had three, Kyra said lightly. You, me, and the person who will ask you for this folder back. Who's that? You'll know, Sierra said. She always knocks like she's the wind. Kyra left me with the paper and the two women who represented my present and the door I'd closed on purpose. When she stepped out, quiet as money, Sierra crossed to the window and looked down at the river like it had ever asked for an opinion. You look like a verdict, she said. You look like a rerun, I said. That bad? She asked, mostly amused. That tempting, I said. Why are you here, Sierra? Because I work for Kyra now. Because she needs someone who can talk to the theater kids and the bankers without changing shoes. Because I thought if I was in the room when you read this, I could make sure you didn't write me into the villain role a second time. You wrote that part yourself, I said. I improvised, she said, eyes not leaving the glass. We were bad at wanting the same thing at the same pace. The knock came, a two-beat like a rehearsal cue. The door opened before I answered and Lena stepped in, hair up, clipboard like a shield you could dance with. The part of my brain that catalogs danger and mercy exhaled. The part that believes in theater sat up straighter. She took in the two women, the folder, the water pitcher's sweat, and my face. Her eyes did the arithmetic. They always do. I followed the invite, she said. It's easier than asking you to forward it. You two talking again, Sierra said, bright as a blade. We never stopped, Lena said, walking to me like the room had made a mistake about who it belonged to. But you knew that. Kyra slid back in and the room arranged itself the way rooms do when it plans to be a story later. I handed Lena the deck. She flipped through it fast enough to insult, slow enough to forgive later. Your cultural blue room is a gag, she said to Kyra. So's the affordability math, and we both know the floodplain report in the appendix is a year stale. Kyra's smile did the thing accomplished people practice in mirrors. I assume you'll say as much at the hearing, she said. I'll say enough to ruin your hashtag, Lena said, and I'll bring a map. What do you want? Kyra said, beyond the pleasure of telling me no. Lena pointed to the financing slide. A real escrow, hard money, independent trustee. A trigger for the clinic on Parcel D before any C of O, a flood mitigation plan that isn't a prayer. And pull the Blue Room program unless you want the city to start using curated artists as a verb you can be sued for. Kyra nodded like she was taking a cocktail order. And from you, she asked me. I want the calendar invites to have names, I said. I want developers to be allergic to anonymity. Noted, she said, not writing. Sierra leaned on the back of a chair, ring flashing. We can deliver half of that at a sprint, she said. The other half will take what we call appetite. Your side rarely eats. We eat, Lena said. We just don't call it fine dining. The meeting decayed the way meetings do when the agenda was never the point. The folder returned to Kyra's possession. The words we'd used to fight each other at microphones got tried on like coats. When it was over, Kyra offered a hand we both ignored and left with Sierra in a breeze of perfume I had once associated with midnight and regrets that felt like victories at the time. In the hallway, Lena didn't look at me. She looked at the carpet, at the wall mirror, at the small camera like a polite bug. You were going to tell me, she said. I said. But you wanted to see if I'd be there before you confessed. Yes, I said, because lying would have been a worse seduction. She nodded, a judgment and a benediction. You looked at her mouth, she said, finally meeting my eyes. I looked at a specific decade, I said, and then I looked away. Good, she said, and hooked her finger in my belt again, subtle enough to count as theater, unsubtle enough to be noticed by a camera with a hobby. You're not mad, I said. I am, she said, but not about the room, about the invite, about the sender who thinks we like being summoned without a name. What do we do? I asked. Find the calendar, she said. Then we make it say who it belongs to. We didn't go home. We went 2 blocks east to a co-working floor where my friend Marable rents a desk, and other people rent the right to say my office. Marable handles it for causes too broke to buy her, too stubborn to stop calling when something hurts. She looked at the invite, snorted at the Ikes with no header, and rolled up her sleeves in a way that told the room to stop being coy. This isn't anonymous, she said, fingers moving. It's coy. See the token. That's a calendar service built on top of a donation platform. It scrubs the sender to reduce friction. It's supposed to be for surprise salon dinners and intimate town halls. Developers started using it for hearing prep. Because of course they did. Can we unscrub? Lena asked. Marable grinned. Honeysuckle, she said. You do not get to use our word, I said. It's ugly, she said. That's why it works. She tapped one last time and the blue room invite unrolled like a lie forced to be literal. Sender, blue room at RVR Bend, partners. Blind copied recipients, a council aide I don't trust, 2 consultants I wouldn't let buy me soup, a theater director who owes me $30 from 2018, Sierra, me, and Lena. No Kyra. So they can claim they weren't there, Lena said. So they can claim they were included, I said. Marable clicked again. And here's the master calendar, she said, the screen filled with blue blocks, lunches, coffees, pop-ups, salon nights, quiet check-ins. No names, just verbs. I can map the IP that built these, she said, if you want a place to send a courier with a subpoena. We didn't have that power. We had something else, a nose for the hour that breaks the day. We printed 3 months of blue room blocks on nice paper. We circled the ones that overlapped with votes, hearings, site walks. Lena, who has a cruel streak when the subject is process, wrote a legend that could make a donor cry. At 6:07 p.m. we were at the hearing room, a place built of wood and size. The board chair tried to set an adult tone and failed. The room wanted blood and name tags. Kyra sat with counsel and the particular stillness of people who know the cameras are hunting for motion. Sierra sat 2 rows behind, spine performing hope. I stood in the back until the part where the public comments begin to practice being speeches. Lena went first for our side. She didn't say blue room. She said floodplain and escrow and clinic before condos. She borrowed a map from a kid who'd drawn a better one than the city. Then she stepped away from the mic and handed Marable the stack of printed blue invitations. Marable handed them to the clerk. The clerk handed them up the dais. The chair read them the way men read evidence they know will make their day longer. Agenda, Lena said, her voice even. Yours, not ours. The chair stared at the screens, then at Kyra, then back. Kyra kept her face on a news channel. Sierra didn't look at me. The council attempted to say engagement and outreach and best practices in one sentence, the sentence called HR. We will need to clarify, the chair said, which is government for I am going to bury you in process and call it sunlight. We will need names on future invites. He hammered something. The room agreed to be postponed. After in the hall, Kyra approached us like a person who had chosen the right shoes. You could have asked for lunch, she said. You could have asked to put your name on a calendar, Lena said. Kyra's smile faltered half a degree. You win for today, she said. Tomorrow I'll have a better word for Blue Room. Try public, I said. Sierra waited until Kyra's shadow veered away. She leaned against a pillar and reached for my shoulder, stopped, put her hand on the marble instead. You didn't go home with me, she said, amused and a little sad. I did once, I said. It didn't stick. She nodded. I used to like rooms without names, she said. They made me feel like I was getting away with something. Now they make me feel like I'm apologizing too early. Come to dinner, Lena said, surprising both of us. Tell us what he's going to call the next room. Sierra laughed, a small sound with a good aftertaste. I'll bring a calendar, she said, and left. We went home with the stack of blue blocks and a bag of food that wouldn't survive the night. The apartment looked pleased to see us. I set the papers on the table like trophies and turned to Lena. She turned to me and pulled my shirt out of my waistband with the briskness of a person who had earned what she was about to take. We weren't cheating, she said, mouth at my throat. We were being asked to, I said. We said no, she said. We said yes to us, I said. We made love the way people do after they've spent the day telling strangers who they are, slow enough to confirm, quick enough to satisfy the part of the brain that needs evidence. She climbed over me and held my face like she was dialing me in. The city pressed its lights against the glass and lost. After we lay with the window open a crack, the calendar invite still glowed on my phone. I declined it with a sentence, "Please include the sender next time." The app asked me to confirm. I didn't. They'll find another color, Lena said, drowsy and correct. They can use all of them, I said. I'm happy to print. Say it, she murmured. Honeysuckle, I said. She laughed into my chest, and it felt like a door locking from the inside. The city calmed down long enough to remember it was made of people. The pasta pot was still on the stove, water gone, bottom scorched. We left it there overnight. Some messes we can clean. Some we leave as a reminder that we burned something on purpose and the kitchen survived. In the morning, the board issued a memo about transparent calendaring. Kyra's PR posted a photo of an artist painting a wall with a caption about collaboration. Sierra texted a single word, names, and an address to a diner where the pancakes taste like forgiveness. We went. We ordered too much. We made a new rule. If a room doesn't say who invited you, invite your own person first. It reads worse than it is. It works better than it sounds. We keep a running list of colors no one gets to own again. We keep the password we hate because we love what it protects. We open invites. We say no with maps. We do the kiss. We stay in the photo. We put our names on the calendar and dare other people to do the same.